Pittsburgh Steelers were considered certain Super Bowl contenders at the start of 1974, despite the fact that two new faces appeared in the starting lineup. Of all places, they were at quarterback, where three-year pro Joe Gilliam would start, and at middle linebacker, where a rookie, Jack Lambert, number 58, treaded water for a while, got his feet wet, and then came on with a splash. With Lambert in the middle, the Steeler defense rose up in a mighty goal line stand that keyed their shutout of the Colts. Rock-ribbed defense was nothing new for Pittsburgh fans, but Jefferson Street Joe Gilliam was, and he was magnificent, leading the Steeler offense to 30 points. Two first-year wide receivers, John Stallworth, number 82, and Lynn Swan, number 88, also had splendid debuts. In all, 14 rookies made the Steeler roster, and mixed with young veterans like Frank Lewis, number 43, the Steelers were young, but they were tough. In Denver, Gilliam's buggy whip right arm accounted for 31 completions and 348 yards, including a spectacular screen to Steve Davis, as the high-powered Steeler offense rolled to 35 more points. But Pittsburgh also gave up 35 points, and the Steelers settled for an unsatisfying tie. Then, after scoring 65 points in their first two games, the Steeler offense disappeared. The Oakland Raider defense was the magician, and the Steelers lost 17-0. Pittsburgh's progress was a patchwork. One devastating win, one disappointing tie, and one depressing defeat. Such inconsistency would gnaw at the superstructure of the Steelers and threaten to ruin their season. Against the Houston Oilers, the Steelers scored just 13 points and actually trailed 7-6 in the fourth quarter. The Oilers enjoyed their touchdown immensely, but it was the only one they got, as the Pittsburgh defense paved the road to a 13-7 Steeler victory. Facing the Chiefs the next week, the defense claimed 9 turnovers and put points on the board on Glenn Edwards' 50-yard interception return, as defense keyed another Steeler victory. Though Chuck Noll was concerned over his sleeping giant offense, one thing that never let him down was the magnificent steel curtain defense. The strength of the Steeler defense is the front four. Number 68, L.C. Greenwood. Number 75, Joe Green. Number 63, Ernie Holmes. And number 78, Dwight White. Mad Dog, Mean Joe, Fats, Hollywood Bags. Arrowhead Ernie pointed the way to the pass pocket, and no matter what you called them or in what order you named them, the Steeler front four just kept coming. By the end of the regular season, 52 pass pockets had been pillaged. Chief beneficiary of the brutal Pittsburgh pass rush was the secondary. Steeler most valuable player safety Glenn Edwards. Cornerbacks Mel Blunt, number 47. And J.T. Thomas, number 24. And safety Mike Wagner, number 23. The Steeler front four was equally brilliant against the rush, and freed of much run responsibility, the stickers in the secondary were left looking for someone with his head down or drooling for the ball. By the end of the regular season, 25 enemy passes had been pirated. Outside linebackers Andy Russell, number 34, and Jack Ham were different, yet similar. Russell is one of the leading proponents of the blitz. And no linebacker intercepted more passes than number 59, Jack Ham, in 1974. But one thing no one ever did was break outside of either man. Before the season, middle linebackers seemed to be the only question mark. But rookie Jack Lambert from Kent State turned question mark into exclamation point. Joe Green put it rather well when he said, "Jack Lambert is so mean, he doesn't even like himself." Jack Lambert, the third Steeler named Rookie of the Year in the past 6 seasons, is emblematic of Pittsburgh's rise. 34 current Steelers are original Pittsburgh draft choices, and several rookies made it big this season, including Lambert and wide receivers Lynn Swann, the number 1 pick from USC, and John Stallworth, chosen in round 4 from Alabama A&M. In addition to his talent as a receiver, the graceful Lynn Swann, number 88, compiled the second greatest punt return yardage performance in the history of pro football. Swann's performance was a tribute to Steelers special teams. Roy Jarella, who led the American Conference in scoring for the 2nd straight season, and 11-year veteran and oldest Steeler at 36, Bobby Walden, put the ball in play and everyone else bombed after it. There was never any question that defense and special teams would go a long way in making the Steelers number 1. If the Steelers were to run to a title, who better to step behind center than the strongest running quarterback in the league? But the challenge went deeper for Terry Bradshaw. He took to reading his Bible again, and the competition for the quarterback job would add to his growth as a man capable of controlling an offense. The battle lines were drawn, the foot soldiers of the offensive line ready when the Steelers faced the Atlanta Falcons. Rocky Bleier proved to be more than just a blocker. and Franco Harris rushed for over 100 yards for the first time in 1974, beginning a streak that would see him gain exactly 800 yards in the season's last 8 games. The next week against the Eagles, Bradshaw's confident cool under a heavy rush breathed life back into the passing game as the Steelers rolled up 27 points. The Eagles got no points and were outscored when Mel Blount returned an interception for a score. With a crushing 27-0 victory and a 6-1-1 record, the Steelers at last appear to have everything together, but the sword of inconsistency still hung over them. With a chance to put away their closest pursuers for good, the Steelers failed 4 times from the 20-yard line late in the game and lost 17-10 to the Bengals. After 2 convincing wins, an inconsistent performance by the Pittsburgh offense again cast a shadow of doubt on the Steelers season and led to another change. Against Cleveland, Terry Hanratty stepped into the breach and started strongly with a strike to Ron Shanklin. But Hanratty would complete just 2 passes in the game, and the 74 Steelers success formula was called on again. Running, not passing, and hard rock defense led to the Steelers' first victory in Cleveland since 1964. When the Steelers met the Saints, 2 more changes were made. Steve Furness, number 64, filled in for the injured Ernie Holmes on defense. On offense, Terry Bradshaw was back as Pittsburgh punished New Orleans 28-7. With another brace of impressive wins, the Steelers again seemed to be gathering momentum. But then the bugaboo of inconsistency flew up and bit them again. Playing in a blizzard, the Steelers managed just 10 points and lost to the Oilers. This was the blackest loss of all, for it kept the Bengals alive as the Steelers traveled to Foxborough for a tough game against the Patriots. For Terry Bradshaw, the game was the turning point in his career. Unlike earlier in the season, when Chuck Noll had replaced him after a loss, Noll now stuck with Bradshaw. And in a game where the offense simply had to get it done, they did. The Steelers were champions of the AFC Central Division, but their crowning as division titleists was greeted as much with a sigh of relief as with a joyous shout, for the end to an on-again, off-again regular season was behind them, and a new one was just beginning. Experts figured the defense would carry the Steelers. Pittsburgh fans had used more sophisticated devices to plot the Steelers' future.
Wait figured out scientifically, without any prejudice, who's going to win the ball game. The Steelers are going to win because they're hungry. They didn't have no breakfast today. They've been waiting for the juice.
Let it go, Doc Heller!
O.J. Simpson got just 49 yards rushing, more than what the Steelers' next two foes would amass combined. But defense did not win this game for the Steelers. The awakening Steeler offense won this one. The Pittsburgh attack took wing as Terry Bradshaw generaled his forces to over 400 yards and 32 points. Led by Franco Harris's 3 touchdowns, the Steeler offense blew away the Bills.
Just when you get around, just slow down so I can hit you like a hook. Okay. And we got all kind of running room. Yeah.
We're going to be the best, right on, Swan? We're going to be back at home on the coast. We're going to kill them, baby. Pittsburgh going to the Super Bowl. We got a feeling. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. We got a feeling. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. We got a feeling. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl.
Control of the AFC Championship game against the arch-enemy Oakland Raiders centered on a supposedly neutral strip of turf. But it was not neutral on this day. On offense, Ray Mansfield, Sam Davis, Jim Clack, Gordon Gravel, Jerry Mullins, John Cole, and Larry Brown simply owned it. 47 times Franco Harris and Rocky Bleier barged through giant cracks in the Raider defense for over 200 yards. Franco Harris cracked the end zone twice more, and with Terry Bradshaw throwing short and long, plain and fancy, and always straight, the Steelers moved in for the kill. The Steel Curtain was no less brilliant in their domination of the scrimmage line, limiting Raider runners to just 29 yards and rattling Snake Stabler into 3 interceptions. With an awesome display of offensive and defensive football, the Steelers earned their first ever conference championship. And the prophets from Pittsburgh who had predicted Super Bowl Steelers had proved prophetic indeed.
Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. We got a feeling. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. We got a feeling. Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl.
Again in Super Bowl IX, the Steelers were simply awesome. Despite the fact that Dwight White literally stepped out of the hospital and onto the field, and injuries to Andy Russell and Jack Lambert later in the game, Lauren Taves and Ed Bradley, number 38, stepped in smartly, and the Steel Curtain gave up just 17 yards rushing and 123 yards total offense, both Super Bowl records. Fittingly, in a half dominated by defense, the only score was a safety. And with a 2-0 lead, the Steelers got a break on the second half kickoff. Super Bowl most valuable player and record-setting runner Franco Harris used 2 runs to turn the turnover into a 9-0 lead. Though Pittsburgh had dominated, a blocked punt left them with a precarious lead with 10 minutes to go. But the Steelers had waited 42 years for this game, and Terry Bradshaw summoned the Steeler offense to a blood and guts victory drive. With their third straight total destruction of championship caliber competition, and in their 43rd year of existence, the Steelers laid waste to the tired tag, same old Steelers. A new one now applies, the Super Steelers, victors in Super Bowl IX, champions of the National Football League.